Hey there, creepy peeps, and welcome to another new movie review. Today we're going to be talking about The Strangers, Pray at Night. Quick announcement, this movie review is going to be spoiler free up until the outro. After I outro the video, I'm going to have some spoiler talk at the end. So if you haven't seen the movie and you're worried about that sort of thing, that's okay. You can keep watching the video, and once I've given my rating and I start to outro the video, click away. Really quick though, before we get into any of that, I want to say a quick thank you to my creepy patron peeps for your support of my channel. Thank you so much. And a huge thank you to Azul for recently becoming creepy royalty. He's a big supporter of this channel and the horror community, so I thank you so much. A little bit about The Strangers, Pray at Night. A family's road trip takes a dangerous turn when they arrive at a secluded mobile home park to stay with some relatives and find it mysteriously deserted. Under the cover of darkness, three masked psychopaths pay them a visit to test the family's every limit as they struggle to survive. So in my 2018 upcoming horror video, I mentioned vehemently that I was not excited for this sequel at all. I have a very soft spot in my heart for The Strangers. I love that movie. It was integral to my journey as a horror fan. So I feel some type of way about The Strangers, and I was very apprehensive to the point of just rejecting this sequel outright when I first heard about it. But damn if this movie didn't prove me wrong. I think it goes really well with the first film, so much so that I might recommend that you watch the first one before seeing this one if you haven't seen the first one already. I'll get into this more in my spoiler talk at the very end of the video, but I think they go really well together, this first and second one. I think it's gonna make a really awesome duology, and like I said, to the point that I feel like it's a requirement to watch the first one before you watch the second one, because I don't think you're gonna get as much out of the second one without having seen the first. Because they kind of get right into the action with this sequel. There's not as much buildup as the first one, but that's good for those of us that have seen the first one going into this movie. We don't want to see the same tricks and creepy things, and you know, we don't want to see the same movie again. We already know these three psychopath killers. We're familiar with them. We don't need all this buildup. So I really like that the sequel did not fall into this trap and gets into the action more quickly than its predecessor. I also loved the camera work. They make a lot of use out of the zoom. There's a lot of instances where the camera zooms in on a still actor while they're in fear. Very old school. I'm gonna get this decade wrong. I don't know, it felt very 70s. I'm a film studies major, I should know this better. But it was super, what I'm trying to say is it's super old school, and I'm sure I've put something up in front of my face that, you know, visually describes what I'm talking about, but it was really old school and I liked it. Like, I really liked it. It kind of, it's like the movie is not set back in the day. Like, this isn't set back in the 70s or anything like that, but it almost kind of gives the movie like a timeless feel, that it could be anywhere at any time, even though you do see cell phones in the movie. But as far as the performances go, I feel like our two main characters, which are the brother and sister of the family, played by Bailey Madison and Lewis Pullman, did a really awesome job. I also liked that as well. It really made it a family movie. It was about the family being attacked, not one person, really. And again, I'm gonna get more into this in the spoiler talk, but the film somehow managed to develop our three psychopath killers without actually like giving any personal information about them, which I was worried about going into this movie, but thankfully that didn't happen. And I'm not I'm not really sure how you can develop characters without revealing anything about them, but somehow this movie does it. To describe it without giving anything away, it's like, I'm familiar with these characters. I've seen The Strangers 5 million times. I'm familiar with these characters. I'm familiar with their MO, and they somehow still surprised me in this movie. So as far as non-spoiler talk, I only have one dislike, but don't let that fool you. I only have one other dislike, but I just can't say it because it's a spoiler. So I feel like the family drama in the movie was a little bit cliche, and it wasn't, I don't know, it just wasn't super unique, and it was just very played out. So is The Strangers Prey at Night worth it? Surprisingly, yes. I don't know, I make it sound bad the way I'm talking about it, but it really wasn't. It really surprised me. And I'm really happy to say that. Like, just because I think a movie is gonna suck doesn't mean I want it to suck. So I'm really happy that I liked the sequel. I think as far as horror sequels go, this is probably gonna go down in history as one of my favorites. It was really good. So that being said, I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5. I was not expecting to like it this much. On IMDb right now, it has a 6.3 out of 10. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 37% critic score, but a 74% audience score. And then on Roger Ebert, it has a 3.5 out of 4. So I know the reviews are kind of all over the place, but you know, it's only its first weekend. Let's see how it does. I feel like it's gonna do much better as time goes on. I just have that feeling. All right, so if you've seen The Strangers Prey at Night, let me know in the comments section down below what you thought about it. And please give spoiler warnings if you're gonna talk about spoilers in the comments for those that haven't seen it yet. I'm sure they would greatly appreciate it. As always, you can find me at all the normal social media places. The links for those are in the description box. You can also find me on my blog at nightmaremaven.com, on morbidlybeautiful.com as a contributing writer, and on their YouTube channel as a contributing host, and on patreon.com/nightmaremaven if you want to check that out and support the channel. I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new here and become a creepy peep today. I post videos Monday through Friday. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, stay strange. Bye. Like I was saying with my likes, I really think these movies work super well together as a pair. If you think about it, the first movie, more than anything, I feel like is kind of about the killers, even though we spend more time with Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman's character. I feel like now, compared to the sequel, the first movie is very much about how these killers operate. This is what they do. And even when you're watching that first film, you kind of just get the idea that they've done this before. They're practiced at this. So this is kind of like the first movie is kind of an example of this is what they do. This is what they're good at. So there's a lot of setup. You get all of that tension building as the psychos, you know, kind of poke the couple and run away and just are generally scaring them and terrifying them throughout the night until they finally kill them at the end of the movie. Where the sequel comes in, like I was saying, it goes right into the action almost instantly. There's not as much buildup as there is in the first movie because it's not needed, especially if you've seen this first movie. That's what I was worried about going in. I was worried about it was going to be super long build up until the family's finally killed, and you know, I was worried it was going to be the same tricks that we've seen before. They do pull out some tricks that we are familiar with from the first movie, but like I said, it's not as drawn out and they get right into the action rather quickly. So the first one is kind of like, here's what they normally do, here's what normally happens. This second film is like, here's what happens when our three killers meet a formidable foe. Now they're attacking this family unit and it doesn't go well for them. So obviously, if you're here, you've been warned about spoilers. The killers get killed. I was not expecting that, especially when Pinup Girl gets it, because she dies first. I was completely shocked. I had no idea that was gonna happen. So I was really surprised by that, but I think that makes it work well together. Like I was saying, also, I feel like the killers were more developed, even though you don't know anything about them still. I feel like we were given more time to kind of see them. I think it was because we got to see them kill their victims in that first one. If you think about it, you don't really see them hurting the victims that much. There's just the scene at the end, and that's about it. The rest of the movie is them kind of terrifying the couple. So this one, you actually get to see them hurt and kill much of the family. So I think that kind of kind of let us into their minds a little bit without actually letting us into their minds. But I was surprised at that as well, that, you know, that was possible to do without actually revealing anything about the killers. I was surprised that we actually saw Dollface's face. I still don't know how I feel about that. I completely understand why Bailey Madison's character, I keep wanting to say Madison. It's not that hard of a name. I completely understand why she wanted to know why this was happening to her family, because all victims in horror movies do. They want to know why. But that's what makes our killers so scary, is because they don't have a motive other than just because. Like, so that kind of leads me to my dislike that I couldn't talk about because it is a spoiler. So obviously, Dollface is asked why they're doing this, and in the first one she delivers that fucking terrifying line of "because you were home," and that just always sends chills up my spine, because that means it could happen to anybody at any time. When faced with the same question in the second one, Dollface responds with "why not?" And this is getting super nitpicky because I love the first one so much, so please don't please don't take this as like a huge hit to the merit of this movie. This is super nitpicky, but I feel like it just didn't have as much an impact as "because you were home." Just so, like, why not? I don't know. They mean this, like, ultimately the meaning is the same, is that they really have no motive. Like, they don't target their victims specifically for a specific reason, like because they hate these people. They just do it just because. So the meaning was the same. I just feel like the line didn't have the same impact. But like I said, that's super nitpicky. Super surprised I loved this movie. Right, this video is probably long enough, so I'll go ahead and end the spoiler talk here. Like I said before, if you're gonna talk about spoilers in the comments, just please give a warning for anybody else that hasn't seen it yet. And I'll see you guys next time.